Samar Island is the third largest island in the Philippines and has one of the most extensive forest over limestone ecosystems in the country. This ecosystem is home to a wide array of uniquely adapted flora and fauna. Samar Island is known to be one of the centers of botanical diversity in the Philippines and has been nominated as a UNESCO World Natural Heritage Site for its exceptional natural beauty and precious biodiversity. For these reasons, CONserve-KAIGANGAN, a biodiversity research program, was established. Kaigangan is a Samar local word that means forest over limestone. Our research program's mission is to assess and conserve the biodiversity in Samar Island's forest over limestone towards its sustainable management. One of our program's projects is the assessment of biodiversity and community structure in forest over limestone ecosystems. This component of our research aims to determine plant diversity and vegetation structure in various habitat types in forests over limestone, to determine animal diversity associated with forest over limestone, to identify functional classification of vegetation with its associated animal diversity, and to analyze the environmental factors influencing the prevailing structure of the biota. We conducted a comprehensive biodiversity assessment of forests over limestone in the municipalities of Paranas, Taft, and Giwan with remarkable findings. A combined total of 71 plant species were recorded from these municipalities, with at least 3 tree species classified as vulnerable based on the DENR updated national list of threatened Philippine plants. A total of 52 terrestrial vertebrate animal species were also recorded, including 5 amphibian species, 15 reptile species, 20 bird species, and 12 mammal species, with conservation statuses ranging from threatened to endangered and critically endangered, based on the DENR updated national list of threatened Philippine fauna. This knowledge will empower our stakeholders in these areas to make appropriate research-based conservation efforts for the protection of these ecosystems that harbor an assemblage of rare, endemic, and economically important flora and fauna. Through this program, people will be equipped with knowledge on forests over limestone biodiversity, including the ecosystem services that it can offer to the community. We at CONserve-KAIGANGAN continue to further raise awareness and capacitate national and local government agencies, especially local communities, living in and around Samar's Kaigangan.
Welcome to Kaigangan Biodiversity Webinar Series, an initiative of the CONserve-KAIGANGAN program. Now on its 4th phase, the program continues its commitment to advancing research, knowledge sharing, and collaborative efforts in biodiversity conservation.
From March to December 2025, the webinar series featured monthly sessions with researchers and experts sharing insights on limestone forest biodiversity, conservation, and ecological research. These sessions serve as a platform for collaboration among researchers, students, and practitioners. As we look back, here are the key highlights from each session.
The series opened with Ms. Anne Frances Buhay focusing on biodiversity assessment along the Ulot River in Samar Island Natural Park. The study documented flora and fauna across river sections, identified conservation zones, and highlighted the importance of community engagement in protecting riparian ecosystems. Ms. Stephanie D. Malanta presented the evolution of the CONserve-KAIGANGAN program from 2019 to Phase 4. The session introduced forest over limestone, highlighted key milestones and outlined ongoing efforts to strengthen biodiversity research and conservation. Dr. Adeline Etchepare presented findings from focus group discussions with local communities. The session highlighted community knowledge, ecosystem services, and the importance of integrating local perspectives into conservation strategies. A special two-part session featured Dr. Flores and Dr. Quiazon. Dr. Flores presented Unlocking Microbial Mysteries, highlighting how modern technologies are advancing the study of microbial diversity across land and seascapes. This was followed by Dr. Quiazon, who presented Unlocking Research Horizons, providing an overview of the JSPS Fellowship Program and emphasizing opportunities for international collaboration and research development. Mr. Florence Roy P. Salvania presented Preliminary Assessment of Trees in Columbio, Sultan Kudarat. The presentation covered the study site's forest condition, documented floral diversity, and highlighted a notable new distribution record of a podocarpus species, underscoring the area's conservation value. Dr. Jones Napaldet presented Flora of the Cordillera Central Range, Northern Philippines, its threats to upland biodiversity in the face of changing climate. The session synthesized floristic studies across communities, highlighting biodiversity patterns, climate change impacts, and baseline data essential for long-term ecological monitoring. Dr. Jabez Joshua Flores delivered a presentation on the applications of GeoAI in biodiversity conservation. The talk introduced GeoAI, featured tools such as GeoNadir and FlyPix.ai that emphasize their applications in spatial analysis, mapping, and data-driven conservation decision-making. Mr. Aaron Froilan M. Raganas of the University of the Philippines, Mindanao, presented Flora of Davao Region, Diversity Amidst Challenges. The presentation outlined plant diversity across the region, discussed major threats to flora, and highlighted conservation efforts and opportunities for biodiversity research. Mr. John Ryan Navidad presented propagation and conservation of top priority plants in the forest over limestone of Samar Island Natural Park. The session discussed threats to limestone ecosystems and outlined conservation and propagation efforts from species selection and collection to nursery work, along with future plans to support long-term conservation. Last but not the least, Dr. Maria Celeste Banatikla Hilario presented a study on riparian ficus diversity along the Ulot River in Samar Island Natural Park. The presentation focused on species richness, abundance, and distribution patterns across different river sections. It highlights how environmental gradients shape riparian biodiversity. Together, these sessions highlight a year of collaboration, knowledge exchange, and sustained commitment to biodiversity conservation. The insights from 2025 deepen our understanding of forest ecosystems and inform ongoing research and conservation initiatives. As we move forward, we carry these lessons into the next phase of engagement and discovery. Join us as the Kaigangan Biodiversity Webinar Series continues in 2026, bringing new discussions, fresh perspectives, and further opportunities for learning and collaboration.
Yan. Hello po. Good morning, everyone. I'm Adeline Chapari from Samar State University, your host for today. So welcome po sa ating Kaigangan Biodiversity webinar series. Sabay-sabay po tayong matuto from our resource speaker. This webinar aims to raise awareness on the conservation and sustainable use of Kaigangan biodiversity through a series of online talks. And just would like to inform everyone this is the fifth webinar for Kaigangan Biodiversity webinar series of this year, 2026. So, and we're excited to have you with us today. And I would like to inform everyone that this webinar has been made possible by the CONserve-KAIGANGAN project, a DOST Picard funded research project implemented by the University of UP Los Baños in collaboration with Samar State University and Eastern Samar State University. So just feel free to greet everyone here and introduce yourselves through our Zoom chat box and Facebook Live comments. So please include your affiliation and your location so that you'll be recognized. So we have with us uh, Sir Giselle Sarin of Caraga University Main Campus. Hello po sa inyo. And we have Sir Renante Villanueva from General Luna, Quezon. Hello po. And from Zamboanga del Sur, we have Ma'am Richelle Lugalao. We have also from DNR Senro Socorro, Ma'am Daisy Bagatula, and Ma'am Kim Ann Bual saying good morning, everyone, from Zamboanga, Sibugay. And we have from Romblon, Sir Francis, Manila. Hello po sa inyo. Thank you for attending this seminar. And we have also from Leyte. Good morning po sa inyo, Sir Joaquin Harris Habar. And from DMMSU La Union, Ma'am Karen Balada. Hello po. Thank you for joining us today. And from another from Romblon State University, Ma'am AZ Falsado. And from Albay, Bicol University, Ma'am Judith Chavez. So, yun po. Thank you again. Thank you for joining us today. And before we proceed, we would like to remind everyone our webinar guidelines. First, we have to keep your microphones muted. And then the second, kindly send your questions using your Zoom chat or in the Facebook comment section. Then we will accommodate your questions during the question and answer session, which will be later. And lastly, you will be receiving an e-certificate for this event, but you need to complete first the quiz, and the quiz will be served as your attendance. And then after submitting the quiz, so this is it. After submitting the quiz, we will serve. It will serve as your attendance, and then after that, uh, you have to submit after submitting the quiz. So after submitting the quiz, an evaluation link will appear, and then you have please be reminded that you must complete the quiz first. And upon confirmation that you have submitted the quiz, the evaluation link will appear. And only after completing and submitting the evaluation form, you'll be able to receive your certificate. So your certificate will be sent to you to your through your email, which indicated in the evaluation form. And kindly make sure that your email is valid and correct. So this time, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, allow me to introduce our speaker for today's webinar. Our speaker for today's webinar is Dr. Inocencio E. Buot Jr. He is a professor emeritus of botany and ecology at the Institute of Biological Sciences, College of Arts and Sciences, University of the Philippines, Los Baños. He is also an associate fellow at University Technology Mara in Malaysia, where he actively engages his international research collaborations. He is a renowned Filipino botanist. His expertise spans plant systematics, taxonomy, ecology, biodiversity conservation, and forest ecosystems. Throughout his distinguished academic career, he has authored and co-authored more than 280 scientific publications and has led nationally funded research projects on biodiversity assessment, conservation, and the sustainable management of Philippine forests. His study on the Localized Conservation Priority Index has significantly contributed to conservation planning in the Philippines. Recognized for his excellence in research and teaching, Dr. Buot was recognized as UP scientist and received the national and international awards. To date, he continues to mentor young faculty and researchers while advancing the study and conservation of the rich biodiversity of the Philippine flora. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Dr. Inocencio E. Buot Jr.
Thank you very much. A pleasant morning to everybody. I am so thankful to the CONserve-KAIGANGAN team and the collaborators for having me here today. I'm also deeply grateful to our faithful Zoom participants for the sustained interest in learning more about our Kaigangan. Today, I'll be discussing about the triple planetary crisis that is ravaging our karst landscapes and how to find solutions through engaging community conversations. Hope we will have a very productive discussions after the talk. Let me define karst first, though I think this has been defined many times already during the course of the webinar series. For the sake of the newcomers, karst refers to a rocky limestone landscape. In this slide, northern Vietnam's beautiful karst landscape is shown. On top of the pinnacle, you will see the endangered Vietnam's Dilacors langur, a kind of monkey endemic to this karst landscape. When the rocky substrate is covered by forest, we call this karst landscape as forest over limestone, as in the Samar Island Natural Park and the Giwan Marine Resource Protected Landscape and Seascape. The karst is home to endemic biodiversity and natural refugia. What is a refugia? It is a safe house where endangered biota run for protection whenever threats are present in their habitat. So karst landscapes are actually refugia or safe houses of threatened biodiversity. Karst is distributed throughout the globe, and I would like to emphasize that it is well distributed as well in the ASEAN region. In fact, Samar Island's karst, or specifically forest over limestone, is one of the most extensive in the ASEAN. Karst landscapes in Samar Island provide livelihood from tourism, recreation, agriculture, and mat weaving in Basay caves. In New Zealand and China, karst is for tourism, recreation, and agriculture. In Indonesia, karst landscape is for tourism, recreation, and a place of worship. You will see on the above photo the Setata karst landscape in West Java for tourism and recreation. And in the bottom photo, you will see the Tanalut temple in Bali, Indonesia, which is a sacred grove. Many people visit the area for tourism and for worship. The Nature Portfolio Journal of Biodiversity reported direct and indirect threats to karst landscapes on a 2024 paper of Mamola and others. In Samar Island, Biodiversitas Journal reported threats to karst landscapes, such as limestone quarrying, land use conversion, over-harvesting, and post-logging landscape threats. The Science of the Total Environment Journal documented pollution in karst landscapes. Oxford Academic Bioscience paper reported biodiversity loss, while Nature Climate Change Journal discussed the anomalous climate change agendas. In other words, the triple planetary crisis is evident in global karst landscapes. This refers to the closely linked threats: climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. Biodiversity loss aggravates impacts of climate change, which will in turn ravage human villages and communities. Biodiversity loss can aggravate environmental pollution as well. These three planetary crises are closely interlinked, and the impact is disastrous. You will see here in this diagram that plants sequester carbon dioxide, but with the deforestation, carbon dioxide will proliferate in the atmosphere, aggravating global warming. And in this diagram, you will see that biodiversity loss triggers environmental pollutions, since tree roots absorb nutrients. With cutting of trees or deforestation, nutrients will leach and pollute rivers and lakes and other water bodies. Nature, Ecology, and Evolution Journal was emphatic in their paper, "Biodiversity loss will decrease the future creditworthiness of nations." Biodiversity loss will decrease the future creditworthiness of nations. This is bad news for the Philippines. Why? Because we are dependent on debt, unfortunately. What can we do now? We have to trace the root cause of biodiversity loss, the root cause of pollution and climate change anomaly, which is now comprising the triplanetary crisis. The trigger is actually unprecedented population growth. The surge of population, human population, which started at the onset of the Anthropocene. The Anthropocene is that geological epoch where humans dominate the landscape, causing damage, aggravating climate change impacts, and that started around 1950. Consequences of deforestation during the Anthropocene: species loss and extinction, well documented in scholarly journals. Megadiversity countries becoming biodiversity hotspots, and protected areas have been established with a huge number of conservation refuges because people living in the protected area have been migrated to other places, as properly documented by Karyeva and Marvir in 2012. And we have several societal problems associated with biodiversity loss. One is food insecurity. Why? Because with biodiversity loss, there is adverse soil and microclimate, and therefore there will be low productivity of the land, contributing to food insecurity. Number two, water insecurity, because with biodiversity loss, Nutrients will be leached to rivers. It will pollute our water bodies. So there will be water insecurity. People would be drinking bottled water through and through. Number 3, air insecurity. Because with biodiversity loss, carbon dioxide molecules in the atmosphere will not be sequestered anymore. And it will proliferate in the atmosphere. It will warm the atmosphere. And number 4, there is emergence of new pandemics because with biodiversity loss, the pathogens who equally have the right to live just like us will have to migrate to other places when there will be deforestation. They are hibernating in deep forests, but when we cut the forests, destroy the forest, the pathogens will have to migrate so that they will survive. Incidentally, they would be migrating to several villages and communities, causing diseases. And then we have unhealthy lifestyle, health problems, in an inability to cope with crises and disasters. The pressure is even worse in the Yuxi circle. What is this Yuxi circle? This is a geographic region of the Earth where a combined human population is more than 50% of that of the world. And the Yuxi circle has been identified to be centered in Yuxi City in China, with the surrounding East Asia, South Asia, and Southeast Asian countries. There is large-scale land use conversion in this geographic region. The use of huge external subsidies in farming, triggering biodiversity loss and pollution amidst climate change crisis detrimental to health and human well-being for decades. In fact, according to the U.S. Geological Survey, ASEAN, which is part of the Yuxi Circle, has the highest limestone quarrying in karst landscapes from 1999 to 2003. The worst thing is the changing of worldviews about human and his or her environment. As we know, there are two types of societies, the pre-literate and the modern. During the pre-literate era, human is not set apart from nature, but a part of a single order consisting of human, nature, and the gods, where the type of human-land relationship has been mutualistic. During the modern era, however, natural resource had been treated as an entity to be dominated and manipulated by human for his or her own benefit. The type of human-land relationship has been dominance over nature. Right now, we have two conflicting perspectives about humans, nature, and conservation as we move on with the problem that we are having, the triple planetary crisis. We have anthropocentrism, where humans should survive at all costs, and we have ecocentrism, where nature should be preserved at all costs. I would not ask you to choose haphazardly as during election time. What everyone should understand is the living, intimate interaction of biodiversity in ecosystems, enhancing productivity, predictive ability, stability, resiliency, and sustainability. You will see in the diagram that plants will have to shed off their litter, and it will combine with the soil. It will be acted upon by microorganisms and other small animals, and it will be absorbed. The nutrients will be absorbed by the roots and will be utilized for the growth and development of the plants. In the same manner, animals will have their fecal matters. It will also enrich the soil, and it will be acted upon by the microorganisms and then absorbed by the plants. So there is an intimate interaction of biodiversity in ecosystems. Extensive deforestation unfortunately destroys such intimate relationship. Karyeva and colleagues in early 2000 have observed this sustained destruction of the intimate interaction of biodiversity in landscapes, resulting to loss of biota. And thus, the birth of the new conservation science, as proposed by Karyeva and Marvier in 2012. It was first published in the Breakthrough Journal in 2011, and later expanded by the same authors in the Bioscience Journal. In this slide, conservation biology as proposed in 1985 is compared with the more interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary new conservation science of 2012. You will see here conservation biology is more or less purely biological science composed of environmental monitoring, veterinary medicine, population biology, physiology, island biogeography, historical biogeography, some social sciences and ecophilosophy, and the natural resource fields of forestry, fishery, and the like. But on the right diagram, you will see the new conservation science, interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary. All the disciplines under conservation biology is also subsumed here under the same conservation biology. In addition to this, you will have economics, agriculture, anthropology, communication, psychology, sociology, climate science, public health, public policy, ethics, sustainable development, and even philanthropy. You see the interdisciplinarity and the transdisciplinarity of the new conservation science that would really address present-day problems of our society. The world, according to the new conservation science, the world has been dominated by humans. Hence, the scientific underpinnings of sustainable biodiversity conservation, resulting to high level of resiliency, must include a serious consideration of the role of humans. We have some emerging priorities of the new conservation science. One is the pursuing of conservation within working landscapes besides protected areas. Normally, we are always engrossed with protecting protected areas. But according to the new conservation science, we have to protect and we have to conserve working landscapes as well. What are working landscapes? These are farms. These are plantations. Aside from protected areas, because people are dependent on cultivated plants. People are dependent for food, for survival. So therefore, we have to conserve our working landscapes as well. Rebuild public support, because in the 1970s, when people were migrated from the protected areas, we were losing the support of the public. So there is a need to rebuild public support according to the new conservation science principles. And then working with corporate sector, because the corporate sector normally would fund our initiatives, and therefore we need their assistance as well. And then paying better attention to human rights and equity. There has to be simultaneous conservation of biodiversity and improvement of human well-being. What are the implications of the new conservation science in nature conservation? You see here the approach in nature conservation should be more nurturing and people-centered. Residents should be well aware of the protected areas. Right now, if you ask people Living near protected areas, many would not understand why and what are protected areas actually. But according to the new conservation science, there is a need to have an intensive awareness drive and let people know what are protected areas and why are protected areas. With available livelihood in the vicinities, of course, and there should be no more conservation refugees. People should never be migrated to faraway areas just to establish our protected areas. And then the approach should be collaborative and holistic, interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary, optimistic and more localized, where endemics and useful plants in the locality should be prioritized with local people involvement. And therefore, considering the new conservation science, the first step in addressing the triple planetary crisis would be engaging community conversations on conservation of the Earth's biodiversity. The new conservation science requires peace to achieve goals, literal peace, and people engaged in active community experience. That is also peace. Literal peace and people engaged in active community experience. Our goal is to conserve 30 to 50% of the Earth's biota from all ecosystem types, to maintain resilience of biodiversity and ecosystem services for humanity at a global scale. But we need to be patient. Rehabilitation of this seemingly irreparable damage cannot just be done overnight. We may follow this conservation acrostic of the Buot Journal as we launch a community project addressing triple planetary crisis with local people. You have here the acrostic reconceptualizing conservation. C means co-produced. In movies and films, you always have the producer. Normally only one company produce the film. But under the new conservation science concept, projects, community projects should be co-produced. There has to be co-producers, co-production by interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary team composed of the local people, the local community, the researcher, business sector, policymaker. Very important. It has to be a co-production, and then it has to be open for suggestions, open for criticisms. It has to be nimble, smart, quick, solutions-oriented, empowering localities, relational, related to the aspirations of people, related to the ecosystems of the communities. It has to be values-based, the local value systems of the community. It has to be actionable, transdisciplinary, inclusive. It should never exclude anyone. It has to be optimistic and nurturing. We cannot convince the young people to continue on with our initiative, with our advocacies and our aspirations if we will not be nurturing and we will not be showing the example of nurturing. The conservation acrostic puts a high premium on the integrity, efficiency, accountability of the co-producers of the project. Remember, integrity, efficiency, and accountability of the co-producers, the interdisciplinary, the transdisciplinary team of the project. We have some important questions, but not usually asked or discussed regarding a project or endeavor. I got this from Dr. Xiaoyi Li during the plenary talk of the 2026 convention of the Society for Ethnobotany. Number 1, after the project terminates, what happens to the village or the community project site? Have you ever asked questions like this? Number 2, shall we help sustain local village knowledge or simply document their disappearing trend in journals? Would that suffice? Number 3, does the village we work with own the data, control its use, or benefit from its circulation and publication? Number 4, if our field of study, our expertise, our subject matter, our major field of specialization would disappear tomorrow, would anyone outside the academia notice? Incidentally, the questions usually asked are as follows. 1, field dates and certificates of appearance, giveaway staffs if there are any, number of paper presentation in conferences, number of publications in journals, and the academic career of the project staff. No query about the village? According to the principles of the new conservation science, we have to be sincere in our project intentions. Integrity of the team should be at its best. The local village should benefit by all means from our studies, from our projects. And what usually benefits all is the focus on aspects that strengthen the entire system, like policy, health, regarding biodiversity. That is why I am so concerned and I'm so passionate about the policy recommendations we try to submit for consideration by PAMB and the local government units of the Samar Island Natural Park. These plants or biodiversity we were endorsing, when conserved by the locality, will surely benefit all, since the selection of those were based on their local village use. Each village inhabitant should fill the void when your discipline or major field of specialization disappears from the university. Why is this so? Because who would not feel the loss if your discipline has left a dent and made a difference in their village? who would not feel the loss of your expertise if it is abolished by the university, if it has contributed something unforgettable by the locality? Remember, our goal is a serious one. Therefore, integrity is of paramount importance. Conserving 30 to 50% of the Earth's biota is a serious task. But the result of this would be overflowing ecosystem services that are always felt and appreciated by everyone in the community. And we have to be happy about that. Thank you very much.
Okay, it was indeed a thought-provoking presentation. Thank you very much, Dr. Buot, for that very insightful presentation. There are certainly many important points from your discussion that deserve further reflection. What I particularly appreciate is the emphasis on the fact that addressing the triple planetary crisis requires us to look beyond the individual environmental problems and understand their interconnected nature. So the climate change, the biodiversity loss, and the pollution, they do not occur independently. So their impacts interact, and this interaction can become even more pronounced in sensitive landscapes such as what we have here in Samar or the karst ecosystem itself. And as Doc June, or we call him Doc June, Dr. Buot, emphasize finding solutions also requires us to engage the people in the community who are actually directly connected with this landscape. So because conservation
Yeah.
is about conserving a place, it's also their experiences, their needs, and what the Kaigangan project is doing. We'll now proceed to our question and answers session. For those who have questions for Dr. Ruth, please have type them in the chat box, and you may also indicate your name and institution if you wish. And while we are waiting for the questions, let me begin with questions that uh, has been given during the pre-registration here from Ruel Daos, from National Mapping and Resource Information Authority. His question is, engaging communities are vital, but local populations often rely on karst areas for immediate economic survival, like quarrying, intensive farming, and etc. So, how do you balance the urgent need for conservation when the economic realities and livelihoods of these communities?
Good morning. The question has always been asked in so many fora, right? It has been a very difficult question to address. That's why I think there is a need for conversations. There has to be interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary team that would discuss this very serious problem. Like there has to be new conservation science has suggested, there has to be the policymaker in the team, there has to be the business sector in the team, so that livelihood opportunities cannot be hindi siya matitigil. It will never be stopped despite the protection of the protected area, for example, or the forest, for example. And aside from that, we have to take note of the different ecological principles like carrying capacity and all of those, because you see, this is a question about anthropocentrism and ecocentrism, which was the subject of one of the slides, right? This is now a question whether we have to pursue what people would really want, just survive, or we have to balance it with the preservation or conservation of some of the resources to finance the needs of the people. So I think it's always like that. And therefore, there is a need for conversation, there is a need for study, and there is a need for environmental impact assessment, as what our environmental science specialists would always advise. There has to be environmental impact assessment as to how much destruction, or as to how much farm do we have to allocate, as to how much quarrying area we have to explore or to exploit, if we need to use the word exploit. So I think conversations of the transdisciplinary team would be very important. And one of the members of the interdisciplinary team is the expert, the researcher. Does that answer? Or does it confuse more?
Yeah, we got you po, Doc June. Thank you very much for that answer. Really, the environmental challenges we face today are global, but the solutions are also deeply local. So that's why we have very, very thankful for those approaches that you guys, Doc June, has presented today. And another question po from Ma'am Angelica May Cabarce of Jose Rizal Memorial State University, Katipunan Campus. Given that the karst landscapes are uniquely vulnerable due to their complex underground drainage system, what role what role do you see local communities playing in monitoring and protecting these water sources from pollution, particularly in the face of the current planetary crisis?
Yeah. Actually, the community would know, right? Because they are the ones living in the area.
I
They should know, actually. However, during this time where it is very much we have a very much commercialized society, so everyone is only dependent on how much, only questioning how much do we earn, how much do we have, so that we do this project or not. But nobody is taking care of nature anymore. Like, do we have nature walk from time to time? As they walk, as the community walk from one point to the next, are they observing what realities they have seen on the wayside? These are things, actually, but this is not done overnight. This is easier said than done. So therefore, I think the project team, the interdisciplinary team, the transdisciplinary project team should really have a plan out and how to awareness campaign in the locality, so that we have to mobilize. There has to be peace, as I have said in one slide. There has to be literal peace, and also the people engaged in active community experience. So people have to be mobilized. They cannot just, today's commercialized society, they cannot just do it on their own right away. I think the interdisciplinary team will have to do some awareness campaign. And there are lots of media now. We have online, we have social media, and we have radio, we have TV and all. But what do we see in these media outlets? Do we have advertisements about community development? Do we have advertisements about how to protect our resources on the wayside? There is none. So how can we expect So
Yeah,
what do
tama
we
po
do?
kayo dun. I agree with you po. People in the community were sila po yung ano, yung first hand na nakaka-experience. So, they must, they have played a very big role in this endeavor. So, I agree po with you, Doc June. Thank you for that answer. And we have another question po from Ma'am Rina Concepcion of Local Government Unit. Yeah, how can a local government strengthen policies to conserve karst landscape while balancing economic development and tourism?
Same question, I think, right? The same question. But I think we have to go back to the basics. Very important. As I have said earlier, we have to go to the skeletal, to the backbone. No? I think the main focus should be the backbone. Like for example, in the policy recommendation we were endorsing, um, we capitalize on the endemic species of Samar Island, and that there has to, because these endemic species in Samar Island are also having medicinal, some are having food, some are having industrial uses. So these are very important. So with the transdisciplinary team that you will be organizing, I think they can project, you know, like the business sector can help out, the researcher can help out, and the policymaker can help out. So all of these, this is already a balance. The team is already a balance by itself. So I don't think one would favor only the advocacy of the other, because that's why there is co-production. There is co-production because it has to see to it that there is balance. There is balance, there is development, but at the same time, there is conservation of biodiversity. So that in the drafted recommendation that we were having, we capitalized on the endemic species of Samar Island, and that the government will have to tag them as flagship species. So and they can be proud of, because this they belong to Samar Island only. They belong to Samar Island, and perhaps that could trigger tourism as well, because once Samar would be um, planted with all of these local species that they have, and then that will be people would be aware that there is like that. Neighboring provinces would be going there as well, and would see the experience that Samar that Samar is having, something like that. So I believe in the transdisciplinary team, so that to offset, no, to offset doubts, to offset apprehension that there might be imbalance. I think the team, the integrity, the efficiency, and the accountability of the team should be at its best.
Oh, so this time, as much as we want to accommodate all our questions po, but due to a limited time, we want to hear more from Doc June. Ang dami po talaga naming natututunan sa inyo. Uh, and but due to the limited time, we will now move on to the next part of the webinar, which is the awarding of the certificate. So in behalf of uh, everyone who participated in today's webinar, we would like to extend our sincerest gratitude to Dr. Inocencio Buot Jr. So, Dr. Buot, Dr. June, thank you for generously sharing your knowledge, insights, and experiences with us. So, your presentation has given us not just only deeper understanding, but challenges confronting karst landscape, but also an important reminder that meaningful conservation begins with engagement, dialogue, and the shared responsibility. So, please receive a certificate of appreciation, Professor Emeritus Inocencio E for serving as the resource speaker during the webinar presentation entitled Triple Planetary Crisis in Global Karst Landscapes, finding solutions through engaging community conversations. Updates on the upcoming webinar will be on September 14, 2026, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. via Zoom. Our resource speaker will be Sir Jose Dale Villacrosis III, and talking on leaves of evidence, understanding Philippine plant biodiversity through leaf structure, through leaf architecture, micromorphology, and anatomy of native Ailanthus. Now we may request everyone to please open their video cameras for the photo documentation. Thank you once again. This has been CONserve-KAIGANGAN webinar with the theme Triple Planetary Crisis in Global Karst Landscape Finding Solutions through Engaging Community Conservation. So, reminder, the quiz link has now been shared both in our Zoom chat and the Facebook Live comment section. Please complete the quiz. Once you submit it, a confirmation message will appear along with the clickable link to the evaluation form. And then please complete the evaluation form and double check that your name and the valid email address are entered correctly. So for more information about our project and activities, be sure to like and follow us on Facebook. And I'm Dr. Adeline Chapari, and it has been my pleasure to serve as your host for today's webinar. Thank you very much for joining.